Hello and welcome to our game. Delighted to be brought to you once again by our great sponsors, Lotto Land, and delighted to have Naoise Waldron back in tow again. Naoise, how are we getting on?
Well, grand, yeah. How's it going? What's
all good, all good, all good. Another busy weekend of action. Anything in particular fancy? Something actually I want to ask you as an employee of TG Carr from time to time, the red zone in football. What an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, they'd done it before, maybe 2 years ago for the final Sunday of the league as well. I think it was 2 years ago. I was in Nolan Park doing a game, a hurling match, and the thing was going on at the same time. See, Fintan, that works in the truck, he's one of the producers, big fan of NFL and the Green Bay Packers as well. Like, so he picked it up from that, and he thought like we'd float or go with it. Like, but this year I thought they got it. They got it way better because Kuan was kind of in the truck, kind of, playing out all the scenarios and updating while Micheál was able to present them from the field. Yeah. Whereas I think the last time Micheál was trying to do both. So yeah, it was class. Now I was as sick as a plane going to Lourdes on Sunday, so I kind of was kind of drifting in and out of it there. But no, it was class. It's such a deadly idea, and like it's the only way to do it. Like, and like how class is it then that they can do it? And when you see, again, like, right, I kind of have skin in the game too, like, obviously, but like when you see what they can potentially do and the ideas that they have and how they're not afraid, the lads in Nemeton, like that, what they're not afraid to do and are willing to do, it's like, it's criminal, I think, that they don't get senior championship matches, like, even if it could be like, Joe McDonough, Christy Ring, whatever, like, that they don't get any game at any senior level, I think is nuts, because their under 20 coverage, the minor coverage, the club coverage, the league coverage, it's better than anything else we have. It is like plain and simple. It is. But yeah,
it's omnipresent as well, isn't it? Like, if you're not to do on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday most weeks, there'll be something on. Same Saturdays and same Sundays. Like, it is. It's like I don't watch that much telly. The most telly I watch is probably TG Carr for a match, and it's always there.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing, like, that's the thing. The only thing everybody tunes in for at the same time anymore is live sport.
Yeah.
Like, the TV, you can watch anything on demand nearly now anymore, except for live sport. And like, even sometimes when you see the result of a game, you're like, I'm not going to watch it back. Like, who cares? But like, nothing beats live sport. And as far as Irish production goes, I just think Nemeton, TG Carr, GABO, I think it's better than anything we have. And that Super Sunday was just brilliant. Kuan and Micheál were class. The commentary teams, the camera teams, like everything. To be able to be at all the grounds and like between YouTube and the app and then the live telly, like, it was just brilliant.
It's some effort. Because the resource-wise, my God, it takes some amount of resources to pull off what they did, and they did a masterful job, to be fair.
Yeah, and that there didn't seem to be any issues, like, really, with like, we can't get a generator to power this, or we can't, the electricity, everything just seemed to go seamlessly. And obviously we're lucky enough that the weather has been nice too, like, it wasn't brutal and interrupting anything, but it was brilliant. Like, fair play to them, it was class. Now imagine if we could get similar coverage from other places for hurling. Trying to catch up with the hurling highlights on Sunday evening, and you may as well read a newspaper.
Well, I'd hope you'd read a newspaper. I'm employed by a newspaper, so I would hope you would read a newspaper, to be fair. Paper of record, it'll always be there. You'll always have it. N Waldron 110 6 freeze. You know what I mean?
Not better, right?
Just a couple of quick comments in there as well. Fiol just says, and I do think this is even a subconscious byproduct. He says, my Irish has certainly improved as a result of watching TG Carr. You pick up bits and pieces as well, of course. Joseph Nash says, thanks TG Carr, I've been able to watch games I would never get to see from RT, particularly in Division 1B. And that's great, and that's why I would agree with you on the McDonough, the Christy Ring, the Rackard, whatever. People will tune in if they're on. Do you know what I mean? 100% they will, and that's been proven down through the years. Naoise, just a question here. This is straight into the teeth of hurling talk. One trick pony. Are Limerick players' legs gone this year?
I don't think so. I think that's being overplayed a bit, because, like, the league is the league and all this. Like, obviously they won't be happy and they couldn't be happy. I was watching John Kiley's interview actually afterwards,
Yeah.
kind of lengthy one he did, and he wasn't happy at all. Obviously, now again, he's saying like, oh, with the run of matches we had, and then people being sick and picking up like kind of these annoying niggly knocks, you know, like dead legs, and you know, no serious injury, which is great for them obviously, but like these kind of knocks, it was hard to get momentum and all that kind of stuff, which is fine and it's true, like obviously, right? But still, like we were only talking about this maybe 2-3 weeks ago at this stage, where we were listening through their panel, and you're kind of going, they have a ferocious panel of players, like so but I don't think so. I don't think their legs are gone. We don't know what they're doing in training. Darrow O'Donovan looked fresh and energetic when he came in compared to when like playing there, let's say, compared to the other lads around him. So maybe the other lads were tiring, and because he looked like a young fella, like. So I'd say the break will do them the world of good, and they'll be ready for championship, like, because I don't know, it's one of these things. It's like the league is the league. I wouldn't be doubting them in any way, shape, or form. I'd still be thinking they're going to come out of Munster and definitely be contending for the All Ireland. Like, definitely.
It's funny, yeah. It's funny, and the Lot of Land Sportsbook here, Limerick and Cork are joint favourites for the All Ireland at 7-4, and there's very little difference actually between their prices to win Munster as well. Limerick are 6-4, and Cork are in around 13-8, 7-4. It's funny, Cork's stock has definitely risen a bit. I wouldn't say Limerick's has dropped necessarily, but like there's definitely people asking some questions. The one thing I would say is that they wouldn't have had brilliant league campaigns in the past before and went on to win the All Ireland, but the tail end of their league was usually better than like 2 losses in a row and 2 fairly deflating kind of losses. They would have been expected. Kilkenny would have been expected to be tight. They would have been expected to beat Wexford. There's no point in saying any different. And they were poor at different stages. They picked up a lot of knocks. Like I'm counting the guts of 9-10 lads that have missed different bits and pieces throughout the league. I think you'd be an absolute fool to write them off. I just like tried and trusted, like road tested. They will, and like it's not as if there's going to be a hunger deficit. I can't see that. If anything, it's going to be the opposite after last year. Their great rivals won the All Ireland. The team that knocked them out were beaten in the All Ireland final. Like, do you know what I mean? Like they have a lot of scores to settle over the next 3.5 months. Like, so I definitely wouldn't be writing them off. I do think though that Kiley could end up going back pretty much to, you know, the tried and trusted ones that have served him well. Like, who's going to come? Who are the new lads that are going to come in? I think Adam English will play, and I think if Cotton O'Neill is fit, he'll play. Outside of that, I'm not so sure. Shane O'Brien, obviously, it doesn't feel like he's that new, but he will probably play as well. But that's it. I don't think it's going to be sweeping changes or anything like that. And I think in recent games, some lads had a chance to really cement a place, and I don't know if they put their hand up firmly enough, shall we say.
Yeah, because like that was the funny thing now, how the league kind of ebbs and flows. Like Tipper in the league final, but Limerick beat them with like how many lads missing and Kyle Hayes going off injured, and the new lads looked unbelievable that day. Like they looked really good that day. So it's funny the way the league kind of goes like that, and that's I suppose what happens with, you know, match after match after match, and then trying to do a physical training block in between it as well. So yeah, it is an interesting one, because it's like everyone's always trying to compare them to the Kilkenny team, like, you know, like, which is still the greatest team of all time, and that you'd kind of go, right, what used to happen to Kilkenny was, you know, if they lost one like this, they'd come back and they'd win 2 in a row or whatever, like in 2013, you know, and they come back and they win 14 and 15, you know. So it's like, can Limerick do that now? Like, you know, that's what they'll be measured against, and that's what I'd imagine the older players will know that's what they're going to be measured against. But like, it'd be interesting to see as well what's the crack with Declan Hannon. Like, you know, is he going to come baback and start? And if he does, where is he going to start?
Nisha, I'd say it's unlikely he starts round 1 or 2, definitely anyway, just because he hasn't played any game time whatsoever. No matter who you are, it's very few lads that can be just parachuted in, like Shane O'Donnell aside. And there's talk of him potentially being back in non-contact training, and possibly an option for Clare, unconfirmed as of yet. But that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I don't see how Hannon can start round 1 or 2. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he gets another good month under his belt, but I don't see it.
So, and see, this is the thing then. So then, like, who will take his place, and then does that open up a slot then somewhere else around? Like, you know, Colin Coughlin starting maybe, and then Kyle Hayes centre back, or does Will O'Donovan go centre back, and then Cathal O'Neill or somebody is midfield, or Adam English or someone, or midfield, so it's like it kind of goes then from there, or so I don't know. I wouldn't be too worried. I know I'd be annoyed, obviously, with the way they lost against Kilkenny, probably if I was in a Limerick dressing room, and then obviously losing against Wexford as well, where Wexford, again, have this thing that seems to go the whole way back even to Davies' time, even when they're on top of teams, they still hit something like nearly 20 wides. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy. It doesn't matter who's over them, who's their coach, just whatever it is, like they're shooting. So they were probably lucky, and Kylie was saying that too, like, they were lucky they weren't beaten by more. And Hannon was going to play, but then he picked up some kind of an injury on Thursday night or whatever, so they just didn't bother risking him. So you'd wonder. So I don't know, it's just they're real interesting this year, but legs gone, I don't think so.
No.
We saw very little of Seamus Flanagan. Anytime I saw Galan, I kept thinking, like, there's more in him and he's holding back, or maybe he's wrecked, as in from training, and it's just a case of get through the game, do what you can while you can, and we just want to get 70 minutes under your belt, and then you're going back to runs there or whatever. Because just like every time I was looking at him, I was going, God, he can do more. Like he rarely kind of took his man on or threatened at the goal. He was like, even against Tip, I remember thinking he was overpassing the ball and kind of going, what's he doing? It was strange. Like, so I don't know. I think they're holding something back, and who do you think will be starting in goal for them as well? Like,
yeah, I think Dowling is the front runner at the minute.
Yeah.
It's the puckouts are not on par with Nicky Quaid's, but very few people's are. His shot stopping for a fella who hasn't played in goals much, very little, is outrageous. He's pulling off some outrageous saves. I definitely think he's put himself in pole position. The thing about it as well, and I know it was as an outfield player, but how he's going to handle occasions and cauldrons. Do you know what I mean? Here's a fella who's hit, freeze to win big games. Do you know what I mean? And he's had responsibility on his shoulder. He's delivered already, whereas Galan is a bit of an unknown in that regard. Like, Dowling hasn't really missed a beat, I would say, since going into goal, and he's put himself. I'd say he's 70% likely to start in the championship at this stage, maybe even a bit higher. But I'm telling you something, from all the vibes I'm getting, Nicky Quaid will play championship this year if they go deep, or will be fit to play championship if they go deep. That's definitely the vibe I'm getting anyway. A quick one here, and he said, I love this type of comment from Stockroom Tim. It's gas how the league is only the league until Cork decide to turn up for once. Are people losing the run of themselves? At the end of the day, what they're doing is impressive. They still haven't won anything. This particular group.
No, I mean, no, because they've been the best team, like, and it has been fairly enjoyable and nearly not remarkable. It's kind of going over the top, but like, kind of like really impressive to watch. Like, that they're so fit, so fast, so sharp at this time of the year, and that they're finding kind of new players, because even there the other day now, like, you see Kingston coming back, you see Harnedy coming back, Connolly coming back, and you're like, geez, they actually have in the forwards, especially, like a ferocious squad of players, a choice there, 9-10 lads that could be starters, but are fighting it out for 6. They have a really nice mix of fast, skillful fellas and ball winners who are outlets, Declan Dalton, Brian Hayes as well, and like, we saw it against Clare, saw it against Galway, like, just ripping teams open and clinical. Like, when they get a sniff at goal, they're going for it and they're going to blast it into the net. Like, and it's so like, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, they have to win, like, still, like, so I'd be thinking and expecting them to win the league final as well. But then the question is, right, Waterford, Limerick, and these other teams will have like kind of a month off, aren't as highly tipped and aren't flying like they are, so they have more in the tank, you would think, than to push on the championship. Are Cork going to be able to kick it on to another level again in the championship, and not just kind of keep the momentum, but actually raise it to another level? Because
they're going to have to. They're
100% they'll have to, because we've seen it so many times in the league where the best team, like, Waterford did it a few years ago, like, these teams, you're like, God, you may watch out for them in championship, and they kind of just fizzle and peter out by, kind of the third game, and it's like, God, maybe they did too much in December or whatever. So, like, but they just, God, like some of their goals, like some of their play, they've been really, really, really good. So I don't think people are getting carried away. It's just, I think they're kind of treating it rightly. It is really impressive, and they are getting some savage scores, tearing some teams apart. Like Galway, some of the goals they got against Galway there, like you'd wonder, like, where were the full back and centre back? Where was the structure? Like, I don't think you'll see some of the goals, especially Tim O'Mahony's one. Like, they literally walked it into the net. Like, you're kind of going, like, lads, you won't get a goal as easy as that at this level ever. So, but it's like a mix of other teams maybe not being as sharp and as fit and as fast, and then them being just streaks ahead. Like, so yeah, no, very impressive. But again, they have to back it up, and be no harm to win a trophy. And I was kind of thinking, even just before we got on air, I was like, wouldn't surprise me at all if Cork won Munster in the league, but then Limerick won the All-Ireland,
Yeah. Listen, 2 trophies would still be better than none, but there is.
Oh yeah.
The 20-year famine is more on their minds, I'm sure, than the 27-year league famine. One thing that will help, I reckon, protect against any complacency or any potential lack of hunger is just that, like, the competition is insane for places. Like, it's insane. Like, as in, if you're off a beat, if you're 6.5 out of 10, somebody's coming in. Like, they're not gonna wait around. They don't have to wait around. It's not just 17, 18 going for 15 spots. It's more like probably about 24, 25 going for 15 spots, particularly up top. If you're not doing it, there's going to be new lads coming in, and Hayes is going to miss the league final and probably the first round of Munster. And he's a guaranteed starter, but he's still going to have a job to get back in. He's going to have to be showing the form before the knee injury at the weekend to get back in. And that's a great thing as well. Do you know what I mean? That competition for places can only be a good thing.
Yeah, and then depending on how the lads are playing while he's out is the other thing. You can't take out the hot hand and all that. And then, like, you think about it, Jack O'Connor, who club team of the year and all this, and it's just like, is he even going to get to come on? It's mad. It is a kind of a fairly serious forward panel that they have. So yeah, no, they are impressive. But again, it's all this kind of stuff that at last, like, maybe are they going to finally win, and especially a national title, like, the league.
That's a dangerous thing. I think it's a dangerous thing, and it's a thing that can. I think it stepped into the consciousness a bit before the All-Ireland final last year, and I know because it was down in Cork and I felt it. It was almost a sense of inevitability that our time has come, and you can't think like that. You just cannot think like that. That's not to say it's gotten into the camp, but if you're meeting people and people are like, "Oh, you're going to do it this year," or this kind of thing, it can just seep in and take that slight bit of an edge off you. So it doesn't happen like that. You're going to have to go and earn it every day you go out. So it's going to be interesting to see how, like, they haven't won an All-Ireland since 2005, and they're joint favourites for the All-Ireland this year. Haven't won nothing, basically, since they won Munster in 2018. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so like, there's a bit to deal with there.
But, like, the thing is then, like, who else would you have as second favourites? Like, if you were going, odds-wise, whatever, who else would be the second favourite? Like, that's the thing. They kind of are. They have to be. I just think, like, if you're going on current form, which is all we have to go on, it is, well, actually they should be favourite, but then because the old thing, Kilkenny or Kilkenny, but Limerick or Limerick, you're kind of going, well, and just because Shane O'Donnell is missing and Clare have been so poor in the league, like, they, you can't really have them at the top of the pecking order, especially for betting either. Like, I like, who would be putting money on Clare to win? Like, I did, to win the All-Ireland. Like, hard enough to do it back to back normally. Like, but never mind without, you're probably, top 2 forwards, and maybe he's not even number 2 of the top 2. Like,
Yeah. Just a quick one here. Dublin's Fair City says 45,000 sellout. This is in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the league finals. Probably 35,000 Cork fans, all ravenous for silverware. If Tip managed to beat them, it would be some achievement. It will be. What do you make of the venue and the ticket scenario? So the fixture was fixed on Monday at 2:00. Tickets suddenly went on sale at 4:30 that day. Offaly got notification at 4:21 that tickets were going on sale at 4:30. I believe Tip got notification at 4:27 was what I was told. and Waterford in around the same time. And I reckon the home county got word got word out earlier, were maybe more streamlined, shall we say, in getting it out to their fans, because the tickets were lapped up and nearly everything sold out by the following Tuesday morning. And we're now in a scenario, and this is the case now, where I'd say if there's 5,000 fans between Offaly and Waterford, you'll be lucky. And that's a fact. That's the way it is. I understand the long-standing agreement between Tip and Cork, and I understand the notion of trying to get the two games on together and a double header and TV purposes and things like that. But Tip and Cork is a sellout, 45,000 by itself, and Offaly and Waterford is probably a 10 to 12,000 somewhere else as a standalone. To me, you play them in Crow Park, where there's going to be no capacity problems at all, and you could have the guts of 55,000 maybe there for league finals, or you play them as two standalones, probably Offaly and Waterford on Saturday evening and the other game on Sunday. I know a lot of people back home are going bonkers, like they logged on Tuesday morning to get tickets, because your immediate default is not, we booked our final place, or it was confirmed on the Saturday, the fixture came out at 2:00 on Monday. You don't think you need to instantly go and get tickets for that game, which is not for another 13 days. And I just thought, I think Offaly and Waterford are both travelling a longer distance than the other two counties. Obviously Cork are travelling no distance at all. There should have been some sort of an allocation put aside for the other, definitely for all four counties, but definitely for particularly Division 1B counties and Tipperary as well.
Yeah, well, and then once this scenario happens, then just change. Like, just say, like, look, lads, sorry, but this isn't going to work out. So what we're going to do is Cork and Tip is still Páirc Uí Chaoimh at this time, and we'll go with Waterford and Kildare, Waterford and Offaly at this time in another location, and maybe even double it up with the 2A final, and then have that as a double header somewhere in a bigger stadium. Because, or if you just had, look, Offaly playing Waterford in Nolan Park, the place would be absolutely jointed. It would be jointed if they were playing the league final in Nolan Park. Like, now I don't know what the pitch is like or whatever, like, but just do it there as a standalone thing.
The GA aren't great for the old mea culpa now. They never admit wrongdoing, or never admit they've made a mistake.
But it's like, but like, whatever about a mistake and all, you just kind of adjust to what's happening in front of your eyes. Just go, oh lads, actually, look, we're gonna sell out Páirc Uí Chaoimh here now for Tip and Cork anyway. Let's just have, look, Offaly and Waterford, in Nolan Park. Let's just do that, Claire. Look, it'll be class, because the two places will probably be sold out. Two places will be absolutely rammed with people. Like, it's kind of mad, like, because then what if the Cork and Tip lads decide we won't really bother with the first match, and there's only like 4,000 people in at that match, and then next thing, then the place is mobbed then for the second match, and the atmosphere makes the game seem not as good or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just, I would, from the outside looking in again, I think it's just a handy solution. And again, as far as TV stuff goes, let's say Nematon again are the people producing it, right? Nematon are based in Dungarvan. Like, that's right beside Cork, and it's only, not that far from Kilkenny either. It wouldn't be that bad for them to do it. Like, look what they were able to do last weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
To do it.
Exactly, There's something else I wanted to touch upon as well. I was in contact with Joe Baldwin, who's the Fermanagh manager. They're playing this weekend in the Division 4 final against Louth, and even the Division 3 final between London and Mayo as well. They got their fixture confirmed at 11:30 Tuesday morning for games that were thrown in 98 hours later. Isn't that absolutely bizarre?
Well, again...
Well, no, okay, it's not that bizarre, but it should be.
No, but this is the thing. It's not unsurprising. It's just typical. Like, it's just like the same old for the hurling, especially at the lower levels. Like, it's just that they're further down than a second thought and an afterthought. It's just whatever. Sure, we'll just put them there. Oh, JJ, we may fix them games. Oh, we may find a place. That this kind of stuff. Like, it's disrespectful. And like, this is where, and this is why there's a GPA. But yet, come on, speak up. Like, say something. Like, your county players and it's hard enough to be a part of a county team without this, and then especially when London are involved as well. It's like, come on, like, gee, like, just get your act together, stand up for yourselves. Don't let them walk all over you and just treat you like second or third class citizens. Like, it's like, just show a bit of respect to the lads that are taking part and giving up their lives to play hurling for their counties. Like, it's just it's not good enough. It's just not good enough.
I do wonder, like, seriously, when things are going on like this with official fixtures for national finals, I do think, like, what hope does a poor old Willie Maher have in trying to change, like, stuff at grassroots level that's so far under the radar? Like, national finals are on the radar. People, you know what I mean? People can see them. They're visible somewhat. Do you know what I mean? So what sort of a battle have you to get things going like that? Things are so far removed from national finals.
Yeah, from personal experience, from people I know, that's all I'll say. Yeah, it's hard to get hurling started in certain places. Never mind fulfill inter-county fixtures. I saw a good one there as well, actually. One of the lads from Clare put a screenshot of a list of fixtures. There's a match, I think, on in Clare. Is it this Friday night at 9 o'clock at night or something? I think it's this Friday. I was like, what? You'll be at home in bed by 1:30 in the morning. But yeah, just that kind of stuff as well. Like, surely there was a time somewhere else apart from 9 o'clock this Friday night. But anyway, no, just again, like, this promotion of hurling thing, like, yeah, just, again, I'm involved in a lot of it, obviously, part of my job and stuff. It just, sometimes it feels like you're swimming upstream, and it's disappointing. Like, it's just annoying because it's the best sport we have. It's like, as far as live action goes, it's the most exciting sport you can watch, especially at a higher level. Even at a lower level, people are still at, like, you watch the junior club finals or junior B even now at this stage. Like, okay, it's not obviously really, really fast, but people still do things that are extraordinary skill wise and stuff. You're like, God, that's brilliant. So it's just, it's sad and it's disappointing, and but just not surprising.
Here's a random one for you, because you mentioned it there. Is there anything better for the soul than going to a junior hurling match?
Try playing in one.
Well, that's true too. But you always see something like out of the ordinary, completely. Yeah. There's always something that happens where you're like, did you see that?
Yeah, I always love as well that the kind of cross, it's like the lad on the way down, the lad on the way up, and playing together. Yeah, that's always class. I always think, where the young lad is there to do the running and get on the end of things, maybe, where the old lad is there, he'll win the ball and maybe get on the end of things too. And when they can mix and match and mesh together, it's absolutely savage. I remember, here's just a quick story, all right? I was down talking to the lads in Tullerone one time, and they were talking about they were playing Johnstown in a relegation final. It's probably 7-8 years ago now at this stage, right? And the whole tactic the whole time was, don't puck the ball high on top of JJ Lane. You keep it away from JJ. We need to puck it this way and that way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, grand. So they're winning anyway. And Tullerone decided to bring on, in the last couple of minutes, they decided to bring on Ken Coogan, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Ken. Yeah, Ken Coogan. And he went on wing forward. And this is the story I was told now, that it was Ken. And he went on wing forward on JJ. And next thing, the goalie for Tullerone looks down the field and he said, doing it. Bang, launches a big high one down top. JJ grabs it back up the field, over the bar, takes the next puck out. Exact same thing. Boom. Pucked it down high on top of JJ. JJ catches it, drives it back up the field anyway. And Kenny Coogan went absolutely mental, rightly so. And you go, what are you doing? What is, and your man, after the match, they had words or whatever. Tullerone won, Johnstown got relegated, but they had words anyway. And the goalie just said, he goes, yes, I just had to see it one more time. I just had to see it. I had to see JJ win the ball. but club, yeah. And again, you see things like that, junior club games and all, like, and especially around Dublin, like, as well, with the amount of leagues, like, you never know who you could be playing against or who would pop up. Like, like, we're playing in Division 5 there now in Dublin, and there's a few Wicklow teams in it, and Andy O'Brien from Wicklow, jeez, we played last year.
Andy.
My God.
Some wrist on him.
Unbelievable. Like, I played against him, when we were playing with Derry and he was playing with Wicklow again, he was like fully fit and flying, and I just really, really good. But when we were playing them last year, St. Patrick's there, I was going, I wonder is Andy. The next thing he struts up anyway. He scored about 2-5 from play or something like. He just and points you like points like Tony Kelly had scored where he has it. He's running towards the sideline, he spins in a circle, and in one motion it struck, and just unbelievable. Like it just anyway.
Yeah, even his last game was the Rackard final, and it was an overhead pull into the back of the net, and it was basically the game-winning play, shall we say. I think he ended up Nicky Rackard Player of the Year in his last year, based on his last game or whatever. But just you were saying about the junior there, the mix. I love, like you see, a little skinny lad, just out of minor, little twigs for legs, and then you have the big Mulliker full back that's like 45, and he's carrying a bit of timber or whatever. And I even loved it. My last 2 years playing Senior B, our second team in Borough would have been Senior B. It's still playing to a good level, but you're playing with a lad, he's probably 36, you're playing with lads that could be 17, and it's just like, you know what I mean? And you love just trying to, the way you pick up things when you go along or whatever, as you go along, you love to try and even just pass on anything that they might remember that might help them to, I suppose, expedite the process. You hate to have to wait till lads are 27 or 28 till you have it all figured out. Imagine you were 21 or 22 and you had it all figured out. Jesus Christ, it'd be some dangerous, it'd be some dangerous animal.
Yeah, like Con.
Yeah, there you go.
It was just, I had, in beside me when I was coming on the scene, Junior B at 15 and 16, I had Ollie O'Connor and Noel Maher. Noel Maher would be James Maher's father, that played for Kilkenny there as well, and Gillian Dillon's husband, like. And then Ollie O'Connor, sure, anyone from Kilkenny, anyone from Freshford will know as well, like, just as good a free taker as there ever was, I'd say, nearly. It's
great because in your younger years you get to line out with. It could be, if this is why like leagues and stuff are great. You could play a league game with Johnny Pilkington, or do you know what I mean? Like, it's brilliant, like, and you don't really think about it at the time. And then like Johnny's Laker Gale is on, you're like, geez, I heard with him, or you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. It's mad. Like when you think about it, and that's why you love to see lads going back to their club and even going down the grades a bit and helping young lads along and playing a bit of junior. There was a great photo there about 5 or 6 years ago of Johnny P and Dahi Regan coming on as subs for the Bird junior team. Like, it's deadly. Like, you love that. You love that kind of stuff. Naoise, you mentioned a comment there just about hurling being such a fast game and such a brilliant game. What's your position on the red card kind of chaos that's going on at the minute? Good bit of talk about VAR and different things, and I'm thinking of the clip where where Bart arrives back at outside the door, 742 Evergreen Terrace, in the trash can, and he spits out his lucky red hat, and Lisa says, Bart, you can't go on like this. And I'm kind of thinking, can hurling go on like this? Or you even saw some of the red card hits last night in the Munster under 20 games, and players diving onto the ground. What do you think is the happy medium here? People generally don't like VAR. Spectators don't like it because a lot of people would say it's ruined soccer. What's your position on how do we make sure that the right decisions are being made without potentially ruining our game?
Well, right, first of all, right, the head height, the shoulders, like, right, the Conor, for example, a couple of weeks ago, the Conor Cooney one, and then Brian Daigan was very lucky as well there the other day, the heat you didn't see. They're the exact type of tackles that need to go, that need to be just even in championship, because what I hate now will be they'll come championship and none of these things will be red cards and everyone will be allowed to do whatever they want, and they'll be all killing each other and everyone will be over carrying the ball and all this kind of stuff, and all hell. It'll be a free for all. And you go, what was the league about at all? Lads are getting sent off left, right, and centre. Them tackles where a lad is defenceless and doesn't know what's going on, next thing gets ploughed into the head with a shoulder, has to be a red card. And Samson, I thought he was right on the line there, like, fella hand passes, and it was a good second late. Like, it wasn't a case of like as he hand passes he got nailed. He had a pass, looked, boom. Like, and it was up around here. Now, it wasn't in the head now, but it was still around here, and the head goes flying and all that. So James Mahon's one was just a joke. But I think, to be fair to Johnny Murphy, I think Sean Stack told him that time that it was in the head, because he didn't call the other ones as red cards. Next thing, all of a sudden, Mahon's one was a red card, because I think the quickest way, because VAR, I saw people arguing with this as well now. The VAR thing would be, where does it stop? Where do you draw the line? Why would you look at one thing and not look at something else? Like, because I saw somebody else saying, but your half the goals will then be called back because of over carrying. And then it's like, yeah, but then if you're calling goals back, sure, loads of the clearances and defenders running out would be freeze in. So you'd have to be stopping it. It would wreck it. It would completely wreck it. So I think that just the handiest thing to do would be that we get the replays, like when we're in the commentary, right? And you get a shout in your ear, like in the thing, and you go, "Hey, look, we're going to throw up this replay here now. Have a look at this," and then they'll replay it within 10 to 15 seconds of the incident happening. If a fella like me can see it, and a referee then fella can see it, and you can buzz Johnny Murphy and go, "Hey, let's say Michael Verney should have been sent off there for that incident there, that tackle into the head. That actually, you need to go back and give him a red card and tell him it was for the shoulder into the head. It's a red card." And then you go, right, okay, grand, over, red card. Do it like that. But like, you can't be like, "Hey, call back that goal, it was steps," or "Hey, you need to go look at this," and "Hey, you're going to," and I wouldn't be like going down the road in American football where you can challenge things with the flag. I wouldn't go down that, and I definitely wouldn't do it like the soccer where they're drawing all these lines and going down. Some of the stuff still has to be left to judgment calls, but things that blatant cannot go unpunished, and cannot go, like, let's say James Mahon getting a red card there, like somebody should have, again, we saw the replay, immediately you knew it wasn't.
Yeah.
Somebody should be able to tell Johnny, that's not a red card, you need to go back. If Sean Stack told you that was if you were advised that was in the head, you've been advised wrongly, it was actually in the chest. And then the other side of it too is the refs have to be open to take that on board and say, "Yeah, actually, you missed that," or "Hey, you got that one wrong, and when we looked at that back, it actually wasn't right. In full speed, you might have thought this, but I'm telling you here now, it wasn't." So I think they need some kind of an assistant from above to shout into their ear or give them, because they're all mic'd up anyway. And sometimes when we're doing GABO, we actually get access. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't be broadcast, which is kind of cool. So we can hear
any good stuff.
No, not really. Like, not really. Sometimes you'd be like, "I like the way he explained that. That's actually good," So sometimes you're like, "Oh, great." Most of the time they're real quiet, or the odd time you'd hear like, "Yes, but how was that?" And the ref would just go, "Come on," and then they're like, But the ref doesn't really give anything back, like just kind of a "come on," like kind of a thing.
I was listening to a clip of Mark Clattenburg this morning, actually. I think it was on the Overlap or something with Gary Neville, where he said to Adam Lallana years ago, "You didn't used to be like this before you played for England." And then it ended up in the paper the next day, apparently, this kind of stuff. But I would like them to be mic'd up and hear the explanation process, particularly in the red card. Just a couple of comments, plenty of comments coming in on this. Stockroom Tim says, "No VAR ever, but I'd accept using video evidence to ban divers after the game is finished. That'll sort a lot of this VAR talk out." The only thing I'd say about that is that's grand and it will sort the divers out. But it's not worth a damn to me if my team are gone out of championship because we've been reduced to 14 men in that specific game after the fact. This is what the reason that you'll be talking about VAR is to try and make sure that the decision is right there and then. And I think, like, if you look back at, remember Tip and Cork last year in the Munster Under-20 final, like, Tip can have no problem with the fact that ball hit the underside of the net. Do you know what I mean? They can have no problem. It happened. It's not a debatable steps call. I'm looking back and thinking of the Austin Gleeson ghost goal as well. Like, these things aren't debatable. They're fact. Do you know what I mean? You can see it in plain sight. I think, to me, it's more about it's game defining decisions. Like, it's a red card. It's something like that. I don't think it's got. You're asking where does it stop? I think it stops at technical fouls and stuff like that, unless it's blatantly obvious that the wrong call was made. Like there was 3 catches in a lead to a goal or something. Yeah, something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's blatantly obvious 30 seconds later. But I'd be drawing a fairly hard line on what you can call and what you can't call.
Yeah, and then the other thing as well is, like, I think just the diving thing. I know a lot of people are giving out as well, but, like, I think if you are caught, simulating, like, as in if it's like a blatantly obvious dive that you have then bought a red card, I think you should be getting as heavy a suspension as the person that gets suspended or that got sent off.
Totally, yeah. Totally.
Like, I just think it's, Another thing, these are the two things I hate the most in hurling, right? And I wasn't used to this at all until I came to Dublin. Like, it's a big thing in Dublin. When you concede a free and people start screaming in your face and go nose to nose with you, and you're expected to stand there, and it's not, the ref still gives them the free, you know, that stuff, or like thumping in the back and all this kind of stuff, like whatever. Yeah, look, you want to pump your fist and, you know, shout in the air or whatever if you want a free, or G each other up, that's grand. You should not be goading other lad. You should, that should be immediately free, lost, gone, throwing the ball, whatever.
That's why football have gone with the 50-yard rule and that kind of thing.
And again, which is dead right. You don't see it that often in hurling, but it happens. And I think when it happens, it should be an immediate loss of the free. I think that and diving are the two just most pathetic, wormiest things that happen in hurling. I just think, and if I see anyone on my team doing it ever, boy, I'm always so embarrassed, like, where I'm just like, well, yeah, shut up. Like, you're a clown. It's like a hurling match changes like that. You are going to get that sewn into you within probably 10 to 15 seconds. Never mind a week or two's time. It'll be very, very quickly. This can change. What are you doing? It actually happened the other day in the Offaly and Waterford match. Was it Dan Burke, I think, got called for overcarrying in the first half, and was it Lyons was roaring in his face, and then he dug him in the back, and then I would say within 2 minutes, Dan Burke chased him down. Lyons got called for overcarrying, and he dug him in the back again. He was giving it back to him, kind of, and you're going, yeah, look, there you go. See, you're after giving it like this. I think it's poisonous. I hate it. Like, you know, whatever happened to just, Jays, will you just shut up and take the free and just play the game? Play the game. If you get a belt, take the belt. Right? If it's dirty, let the ref handle it, or let your teammates handle it. But you don't need to be, you know, overplaying an injury. It drives me mad, and I think they should be punished as hard as somebody that gives out the dirty tackles as well. The two of them things drive me mad.
Do you remember when Richie Hogan nearly had his head taken off in the All-Ireland quarter-final against Cork? And like, I just loved it. And it was the same with Tommy at the time. Benny Dunn absolutely poleaxed him. Like, I'd say they touched the ground for a nanosecond and they were back up on their feet again. You loved it. To me, the greatest compliment that anybody can give you as a hurler in particular is that you're honest and that you played the game, and you played the game fair and hard. That's the biggest compliment I think you can get. And to see this absolute shite been coming into the game, it's terrible to see and needs to be nipped in the bud as soon as humanly possible. And there's no point in saying any different. It's been coached, and heavily coached in some quarters. Heavily coached.
So again,
and that's not right. By some people who spout about the virtues of the game in public forums and in private forums, they're coaching this and promoting this, and to me that's wrong. So
again, because I saw people saying this, like, oh, it's definitely being coached, you know, because I was looking at just reactions on Twitter to the under-20 game and all, and I was going, coached, and I was kind of, because again, look, I'm a games development officer and I'm involved with loads of these conferences and stuff, and every so often I was kind of thinking, I was like, no way could people be doing that. But then again, you wouldn't be surprised either. Like, but if someone is doing that and teaching and telling teenage boys to do that, or teenage girls, whatever, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be embarrassed. You shouldn't be anywhere near children at all. You shouldn't be involved in coaching or sport. Anyone that's coaching that, because that's anti-sport. It's anti, you know, honesty. It's God, like, I sound like such an owl lad now. This is like, you know, man yells at cloud, but like, this is the stuff. This is the
front page of the newspaper.
But this is the stuff like that. Like, is the opposite to the stuff we grew up on. Like, I remember one time, you know, I'll never forget it. Somebody leveled me. We were playing Ballyragget in the match, like, years ago in Freshford, like I was 11 or 12 or something, and I got up to absolutely nail your man back. I was like a briar because he busted me, and my father caught me and pulled me back over and said, don't ever, ever, ever let anyone show or let anyone see that you were hurt again. No matter how hard you get hit, don't ever let them see that you were hurt again, because they'll get you again. And I was like, right, grand. And from then on, it was just like, I just one of these things, you suck it up, like, it's part of the game, like, you know, it's the same as people mouthing at you, just whatever, like, you know, what are you going to say to me, like, you know. But just, if anyone's coaching that, like, and you're listening to this, like, you really, there's something wrong with you, number one, and you really need to take a look at yourself, number two, and get away from teenagers. Like, and the teenagers listening, obviously they're in a kind of vulnerable position where, well, if your coach, if this is being coached now, right? I've never seen it, I've never heard it, but if it is being coached, get different advice here, like, because they're in a very vulnerable position of, you kind of have to do what, especially a county fella is telling you, because you want to play for the county.
And you know what, Naoise, as well, though? You also end up with games being televised and you've been the centre of attention now, and it's been thrown on social media, and you're the one. Like, it's not like back in the day where, oh, I heard a lad might have went down easy in a game or something like that. Now it's there in plain sight. Like, I got the Cork one in a WhatsApp group within 10 minutes of the game finishing last night. God only knows how many WhatsApp groups it ended up in. Do you know what I mean? And if it is being coached, people need to really take a strong look at themselves. Just something you were saying there, though, as well. Do you know when a certain fella on your team gets a belt, maybe that he didn't see coming, and he doesn't react straight away, but you look 90 seconds later when the ball is down the other end of the field, or 5 minutes later when a ball is kind of sozzled into the square, and you fairly see his reaction then. That's the sort of reaction I like to see. And you know that you're just waiting. You see lads on the sideline say, wait till you see now. Just look, in the next 5 minutes, something is going to happen. Retribution will take place.
Yeah. There was a story years. My father was playing senior at Freshford, and Pat Dillon was still playing at the time, and Cloney Brennan nailed my father across the throat with the hurl, knocked him out, and had to go off the field, and obviously couldn't stay playing anyway. But Pat Dillon, so the story goes anyway, Pat Dillon put the hurl in under his arm and started going, Cloney, come in. Started trying to wave him in. Come in, I want to have a chat with you. Come on, come in. I was trying to wave him in, and eventually, anyway, Cloney Brennan just was taken off. Just had to, the Pat didn't get near him, but he didn't go near the ball either, basically. He was kind of trying to avoid Pat and trying to avoid the sliotar. So the story goes, and they just took him off. The Pat was that intimidating. And there was another Pat, like, anyone who knows him or knew him, legend. Like, there was another great story. They were playing Tullerone one time, and back in the day, like, do you ever see that famous photo, the fight between Freshford and Tullerone?
Oh yeah,
the lads, yeah. So them kind of games, like, and all hell is breaking loose. I think it was one of the Hennessy's dropped his hurl and put up his two fists to Pat to fight Pat Dillon, and Pat decided, right, well, that was stupid, and just pulled across his hands with the hurl. Broke a lot of his fingers. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So yeah. Look, hurling has moved on a lot from then.
It has. There's some great stories that pass on through generations, but those type of things won't be happening, hopefully, and don't really happen in the modern day. Just quickly, Naoise, on the games that are taking place this weekend, Division 2 final between Down and Kildare in Inniskeen, which I'm not mad about the fact that I think they should have tried to put 2, 3, and 4 together, or they should have put 2 of them together and had them in different venues. That would have been my reading of it. You had London and Mayo, that's in Newbridge, and you have Fermanagh and Louth in Truach up in Monaghan as well. Just quickly on the Division 2 final, Down in Kildare, like, they're both going to be playing in 1B next year. They have some real high profile ties next year. What is it? The likes of Clare, Dublin, Wexford. Going to be some right tests for them. But Kildare have had that kind of yo-yo effect where they've gone up and down from the ring. They've won the ring a heap of times in recent years. They actually beat Down in the ring final in 2020, and Down have nearly passed them out in the last kind of 18 months or that. There won't be a hell of a lot in that.
No, and that'll be a good game. That's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, would it not be now a case of, like, double them up with the 1B final somewhere and put it in the middle of the country somewhere, or Parnell Park or something, like, where, because the Ards is a kind of a pain to drive out of and get into and all that kind of stuff. So, like, but anyway, that should be a right good game. And Down have been on a good old path now for a long time, because again, like, when we were playing Down the Christie Ring, we beat them, and next thing then all of a sudden I was commentating on that game. It was when there was no crowds in Croke Park and all, and that was a good game as well. But Kildare were a good bit better, but Down have gotten far better. They're improving all the time. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if they were winning the Joe McDonagh and pushing to get up into the Leinster Championship, which I imagine Imagine then you had Antrim down in the Leinster Championship next year. Like, wouldn't that be absolutely ridiculous? But anyway, league
The
final
Joe
should be
Mac
good.
is open. The Joe Mac is open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
Big time.
you'd have Carlo maybe a step ahead, but they're probably only an injury or two coming back to away from coming back to the pack a good bit as well. So Westmeath obviously beat Carlo in their last game, but have been going poorly up until that point. Laois were late getting Tommy Fitzgerald into the post after Darren Gleeson's unfortunate kind of illness.
Yeah.
And they're kind of behind the 8 ball a small bit. So Down are going well. And there's a few other, it's definitely not cut and dry anyway. It's very open.
And that's why the Joe McDonagh is such a mad competition as well, where it's like, there's only 5 teams in it, but they're all neck and neck, like, and it is a case of, it's like one of these things, it's like a war of attrition. It's like, who can stay the healthiest and who can have the strongest panel is probably going to win it, like. Whereas like that, like say Carlo, if they got 3 bad injuries, you'd be like, write them off. Laois are probably the same. If they got 2 bad injuries in the forwards, you'd be saying, write them off. And well, look, at Down to be the same as well. Like, they get 2 or 3 bad of their key players gone. You're going, right, okay, good luck. But yeah, no, this is a big step and a test for Kildare, especially because they seem to be losing players and people coming back and people going, and this is what happens when you're yo-yoing up and down. It's kind of a case like, could I really do this again for another year? But like, they seem to be for a while there making great progress under Herity, and then they slip back down into the Christie ring again, and you're going, Jesus, come on. But they need help, club boys on the ground. You're talking about the grassroots stuff as far as getting more hurling clubs, like, right? They're kind of, when you look at the program, you look at the clubs, like, they're very reliant on Naas and then like 2 other clubs. Like, really, they need that kind of, similar to Down, similar to Carlo. They need 7 to 8 strong clubs going at the same time at senior level, kind of a thing. So look, big test for Kildare, but should be a really enjoyable, should be a good game. Really looking forward to it. It's great that both teams are up, and again, like you were saying, if Lee Chin comes to Newbridge, Lee Chin going up to the Yards, Donald Burke, same thing, depending on who's home and away and all that. Like, imagine Tony Kelly and hopefully Shane O'Donnell playing a league game up in the Yards, like in Portaferry or whatever. Like, it should be class. Like, it'll be absolutely unbelievable.
Nisha, I won't get to chat to you. We won't be chatting until after the league finals, 1A and 1B. In a word, who wins 1A and who wins 1B?
I'd say Cork and Waterford.
Good man. Okay, good man. Leinster man won't even pick Leinster County. I
just thought Waterford. Looked. They hit an awful lot of wides and missed a lot of good chances in the first half. I thought they should have been, just the way they were playing, but just execution-wise, I thought they were a good bit ahead of Offaly. Now, I know Offaly missed, and Brian Duignan missed a few frees, which weren't great, but Waterford just physically, especially, looked a good bit ahead of Offaly with a drier ground, quicker surface and all that kind of stuff. I'd be expecting more from like Shane Bennett and Desi, especially. Like, I think Waterford are gearing up nicely for championship as well.
Yeah, good man. Nisha, thanks very much. We'll chat to you in a fortnight's time again. Good man.
Down. Good luck.
Good man.
Good luck.
Cheers. We're going to have a bit of a football chat here because we've a lot to digest from last weekend. What a weekend of football it was. Drama from one end to the next. I know I definitely have Adam Moynihan, and I'm hoping I might have Joe Kernan. Adam should be there in one second anyway. He'll jump back in and we'll have a bit of a football chat. But what a weekend it was. Drama in Division 1. I don't think anybody knew who wanted to be in a final and who didn't want to be in. And there was both Mayo and Kerry were both teetering at relegation at one stage, and then they obviously both ended up in a final in Division 2. I was down at Westmeath and Roscommon. That was very dramatic, to say the least, and Roscommon nearly missed out on a Division 2 final place, despite Davy Burke saying that they were only going down to fill up the numbers. Kieran Martin came on. He's been going with Westmeath since 2009, kicked a 2-pointer to level it at the death and forced the draw, and Roscommon were waiting anxiously then for 5 minutes on the result of the Louth and Meath game to see whether they had qualified for the final or not. And despite probably one of the lowest tallies in recent years in Division 2, 9 points, they still ended up in the final. Funnily enough, obviously in Division 1 as well, Tyrone ended up in the final, having only picked up 7 points along the way. Adam, how are you getting on?
Good, Verney. How are you keeping?
Are we having it? We're having a bit of pressure with Joe, I'd say, are we?
Yeah, just some technical issues. Unfortunately, he might be with us. I'll keep an eye out for him here in the studio, and if I can get him on, I'll get him on.
Perfect stuff. Did you envisage earlier on the league that Kerry would end up in a league final? I don't think too many did.
I absolutely didn't. No. If you asked me, if you told me 2 weeks ago that Kerry would be in a league final this Sunday, I'd say you're off your head. Like, I thought there was no way it was going to happen. Not so much because like Kerry were up and down. They'd one or two. They'd patches against, we'll say Dublin, the game they lost. They had a patch there where they were good. But what it was that I just didn't think that Galway wouldn't gain any more points. I didn't think Dublin wouldn't gain any more points. I just thought 8 points normally wouldn't be enough. For looking at the way it was more likely that Kerry would get relegated. But look, no, we're delighted down here. Like it was to finish the league with two good performances like that against the All-Ireland champions and the All-Ireland runners up last year. It's a very positive way to end it, and obviously looking forward now to Sunday.
The omens are fairly tasty if Kerry win the league, don't you?
I know all about that, yeah. No, I know all about that. No, I'll only believe that Pishog, Verney, if Kerry win on Sunday. If they don't win, then that's a load of nonsense.
Yeah, if they do win, that will mean there's the potential for every time that Jack O'Connor has won an All-Ireland, he's won the league, and an Ulster county has won the All-Ireland the year before. The stars are starting to align.
Well, we won't count our chickens yet till Sunday evening, maybe, Sunday evening, yeah. But no, look, it's definitely something that's talked about down here, all right. Like, and conversely, when Kerry don't win the league under Jack, fellas are going, sure, look, we've no chance this year, that kind of way. But we'll see how it plays out. I think optimism levels are a little bit higher, as I said, after the last two games. Before that, there were some knives out for Jack, but he's got some leeway now with the last two performances, and if he gets a league title, it'll be an extra bonus, and it'll be a nice touch as well because it's the Micheál Murty Cup this year for the first time, so it'll be nice for Gavin White to bring that back to Kerry hopefully on Sunday. You
have two teams in the final as well that like they'll want to win a trophy. Do you know what I mean? They do kind of want to be there. This will be Kerry's biggest test, probably realistically, I'd say, until Munster is over. Mayo will have plenty of tests away. I think they're playing Sligo, are they? In Connacht, which will be tricky. But you have two teams that are they're going to want to try and win a league title, and should be an entertaining game.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it would have been a bit of a disaster really if Donegal managed to, if they scored that penalty the other day, or if that other shot hit the crossbar, if that went in and they went through, it'd kind of ruin it a little bit because they've publicly stated that they've got one eye on the Ulster Championship already. Look, I think Mayo will never turn down a chance to win a Croke Park or win a final. Obviously, Kerry haven't won it since 2022, which obviously isn't that long, but the last couple of years in the league have been a bit patchy. So, it's two teams that probably had more of a concern maybe about getting relegated or not getting relegated at one stage last weekend. To come out with a league final place for both of them is a big bonus. And for Kerry, I do think people are kind of dismissing Cork a bit much. Like I know Kerry do tend to beat them, and I think they've won 12 of the last 13 Munsters, so that kind of speaks for itself. But at the same time, a lot of the games against Cork in the last 5 years, while Kerry might have won the majority of them, there's been stages in those games where, like, I felt uncomfortable as a Kerry fan. I was like, this isn't going well, or Cork are playing well today. Cork, however patchy they are, they have been in the league, and over the course of the last number of years, they always up their game for Kerry, always, especially up in Cork. They'll be well up for that game. Assuming they beat Limerick in their quarter-final, they'll be playing Kerry in the semi-final. But you're right. I mean, beyond that, look, Kerry will be massive favourites to get through Munster kind of unscathed, and you're talking about then going into May before you play, we'll say, maybe Division 1 team. And even last year, I mean, Kerry's group was Monaghan, Meath and Louth. And with no disrespect to them, but like Monaghan had been relegated. The other two were, kind of down the divisions, and it was a case of like Kerry didn't get tested really between the league and the All-Ireland quarter-final, which is obviously far from ideal. But look, I think this is a good opportunity for Kerry to test out the new game up in Croke Park and get a feel for it. There are some guys in the panel there and some guys in the team who wouldn't have played in a final up in Croke Park before, so it's a good opportunity for them as well. So, and look, loads to play for Mayo. Mayo would love to after having a kind of a rough start to the league, if they came out of it with a league title, having beaten Kerry in the final, like that's a great start to the year for them, and they'll go into the kind of championship then with lots of confidence.
People were wondering and questioning how much Kerry had been implementing the rules or practicing the rules Viewer comment in here just says new rules tailor made for Kerry that minor team can live up to their potential. Have you seen a good bit, like they put up a monster score the other day? They're still not necessarily implementing the 2-pointer all that regularly, but the tallies have gone a hell of a lot higher, and their attacking kind of displays seem to be a lot better. Is it just a matter of it's taking a bit of time? Even I know I was chatting to Dermot Connolly a few weeks ago, and he reckons most of the top teams have not even nearly showed their hand with the new rules. And I don't know about you, I'm looking forward to that when we actually see in the Cut and Trust the Championship what have these coaches been doing behind the scenes that we haven't seen yet as well. But do you think Kerry are getting there now with the new rules?
Yeah, I think it's more encouraging. Definitely the last few weeks, I think they're kind of ramping up slowly. Like we said it before the rules even we saw them in action at all, that they would suit teams that wanted to kick the ball, and maybe it's taken a while for teams to sort of figure it out and get used to it across the board. We saw in the early rounds of the league there were still lots of teams running the ball, lots of teams hand passing the ball. Those figures are still probably higher than we thought they'd be. But I think now, especially as the ground's hardening a bit and the weather is maybe not as extreme as it was, in January and February, I think it is going to suit teams that want to kick the ball long and play heads-up football. Like if you win the ball in your own defence and you look up, there's going to be options for you no matter what team you are. And if you can just kick the ball, it doesn't have to be a perfect kick even, just into space and your forwards are on the ball. And what we've seen from Kerry in the last couple of games in particular, like the two Gainies are really sharp. They're always looking for goals. You mentioned Kerry's goal record there. They've got 16 goals in the league, which is the highest across 4 divisions. Compared to last year, they really struggled for goals. I think they had something like, was it 8 and 14 or 10 and 14 or something like that. They've already blitzed that record so far this year. So not going for 2-pointers is interesting. But as I was saying to one of the lads earlier in the week, I suppose three is more than 2. Like, so if you're getting the threes, you don't really need the 2s as much. But maybe it'll come back to haunt them later in the year that they're not going from now. Who knows? But yeah, look, it's all positive stuff so far. No one's getting carried away yet. Sunday now is the next step on the journey for them, and I think it's going to be a close game.
Most of all of the big dances at the end of the season are going to be played in Croke Park. Do you see, like, you always need a kicking game for Croke Park, but I just think now it's going to be more prevalent than ever. Like, it makes, like, if you've got accurate kickers from out the pitch, you're not kicking it into crowded areas anymore. You're kicking it into what should be really advantageous positions for forwards. I just think we could see a hell of a lot of kicking come quarterfinal, semi-final, final stages.
Yeah, and I think everyone's going to have to do it. I think it's not going to be a case of optional anymore that you kick the ball. I think you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to take advantage of the space while it's there and make hay while the other team is kind of transitioning back into defence and you have your players up the pitch already. Playing in Croke Park and the kicking game inside there, like from the offensive point of view, it's very exciting. I'd say there's a few defenders around the country thinking ahead to that, maybe playing Dublin and Croke Park, playing Kerry.
Can I play wing back from now on?
Yeah, exactly. I'd say it'll be a lonely place, against some teams and certain attacking teams. But look, we'll see. I think, like you mentioned, innovation there and what we'll see over the course of the next month or 2 or 3 or 4. I think there's going to have to be some sort of adjustments defensively as well, that teams are going to have to figure out how to slow down the opposition when they're trying to break out and get bodies back, because no one's going to be comfortable in that situation. Doesn't matter who you are and how good you are at defending. You're not going to be comfortable with 60 yards of space in front of you in Croke Park and a team kicking the ball in front of you. So it's great. Like from an excitement point of view, the games are very entertaining. I think we're seeing high scoring. We're seeing lots of goals, lots of 2-pointers in certain cases. But definitely from a defensive point of view, when you get up to Croke Park, it's daunting. Like, I'd say it's going to be very daunting for them.
I'm putting you on the spot here, but who do you think are the defenders across, let's say, the top 8-10 that will actually thrive somewhat in this scenario? Like, I'm thinking a fit Owen Merchant would be decent enough in this type of. And I was even amazed that he marked Clifford last year. Remember that game in Croke Park where they had him on Clifford? Yeah. And it wasn't a massive. Was a massive physical deficit, but it wasn't exploited, shall we say? I think someone like him could do very, very well in that type of scenario. Am I right in thinking that would Tom Sullivan be good in that scenario, or who are the other defenders you're kind of thinking just these lads could really go toe to toe with a good forward?
I think if you're going to pick a Kerry fella, like Tom's a good marker. I haven't really. It's rare that he's in that situation when he's marking someone very deep in and there's like 50, 60 yards in front of him. He's a very good marker when things are tight. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And he's fast, to be fair to him. So maybe he would be. I'd say Jason Foley if you're talking about a Kerry defender in that scenario because he's so fast. Like there's not many fellas who are going to get out in front of a forward in these new rules because there's so much base and the kicker has time to pick his spot and put it where he wants and that kind of way, you know. So a very fast player like Foley would have a chance. You mentioned Merchant there and Clifford. Actually, I was in Salt Hill on Sunday and I looked out in the pitch and I saw Johnny McGrath and Clifford and I was actually in the stand kind of there as a supporter and I was looking out kind of right across the way from me and I was going like, Jesus, Clifford has like 5 inches on him, 6 inches on him. Like, surely that's going to be a good opportunity for Kerry. And I'll tell you what, he got very little out of McGrath. Like McGrath was tigerish, like really in his face. He's a really, really good marker. So he's definitely in that category. Look, if you're shutting down Clifford, no, not that he shut him down. Clifford kicked a couple of points and he was still active. But I mean, he didn't dominate him the way he dominates other fellas like sometimes. So definitely a guy in that category. But I think speed is going to be really important. Like speed is going to be crucially important that you're going to be able to challenge for balls when they're coming in and stick with the forwards that are going to be able to take you on in 1v1 situations. So I definitely have McGrath in that category anyway.
Yeah, Richard Hogan just says, has a comment here. Gooch would love to be able to wind back the clock and play under these rules. There's the one for you. What players from previous vintages do you think would thrive under the new rules? Players that are no longer playing. Like Connolly is one that immediately comes to mind because you're thinking, just it'd be perfect man to get on the ball on a bit of a breakaway and trade a crazy type of a pass. Now, actually, Colin Corkery was the fella that jumped out to me because you're kind of thinking, okay, he's not going to have to go past. You won't even have to go past the 45. You just have to get him the ball and there will be space around him and he'll do the damage in there. Any other lads you can think of from former generations maybe that you think would do very well? Well,
from a kind of a distribution point of view, obviously Kieran MacDonald would find it so easy, like just to get on. Like, you know, he could find a fella anyway, even when the fences were kind of more packed. But he could land the ball anywhere. What about Stephen O'Neill, maybe Tyrone, kind of in the corner, not having to go back, just like lounging around the place, getting on the ball, winning his own ball, and shooting from any angle. Like McManus is maybe stepping away at the wrong time. Conor McManus, that'd be like that fella could like later. He only get the ball in his hands, and he can score from anywhere.
I heard him say in an interview recently that if he walks for more than 2 or 3 kilometers, he has what he described as a knife-like pain going through his hip. Like I'd say he couldn't be purely honest about what he's put his body through in the last few years because it would be nearly too outrageous. And I always find it amazing. And sure, listen, we're pundits, so to speak, or we're commenting on the games. You really don't know what certain lads have gone through to get on the pitch and what sort of shape they're in, and we're all just kind of judge, jury and executioner almost at times, and it can be very unfair because you don't know what certain lads have kind of gone through, or it could be dying sick the week of a game. You just don't know. But some comments coming through there about players that would have thrived. Port of Porter says Morris Fitz, Fergus Butler, Kieran MacDonald, would love to see him 2-pointers. Jeez, imagine the 2-pointers from out the left wing. There's that. I know I wasn't necessarily thinking of this type of a player, but Mick O'Connell out the middle of the field, like your old style midfielder, like brilliant under a high ball or whatever. That's definitely a good one. Fergus Butler says Michael Meehan. There's some good ones in there. It would have been interesting to see if lads were around kind of for this type of time. It's a very, very exciting time of football. I was chatting to Nisha at the start of the hurling show there. What did you make of the final weekend as a spectacle and just having all the game? You were obviously elsewhere. Did you watch any of it back, or were you following updates on your phone, or what way were you doing it?
Yeah, I was keeping a close eye. Really, the Dublin Tyrone game was the big one from a Kerry point of view. So that was the one that we were all checking up in the terrace. Just keeping an eye on that, and we're like Tyrone raced out ahead. There was one stage actually, like the permutations for Kerry were that if they drew, they would practically be safe. And last week we were saying, sure, look, we'll be fine because Armagh have to win by 20 and Tyrone have to win by 12. Both of them, if Kerry draw, for Kerry to go down. Kerry were kind of close enough to Galway at one stage, and I checked my phone, like Armagh were up like 22 and Tyrone were up 13 or something. I was like, we're in trouble here. Like, but yeah, no, it was great. But I watched some of the TG Carr stuff back just after I came home, and it was just unbelievable. Like just the levels, to have commentators at every game, and like, fair enough. Now I know for the Kerry game they didn't have multiple cameras, you know, for the angles and all that kind of stuff. But sure, look, you wouldn't really expect that from you know, a broadcaster in that scenario when they have to go to so many games on the same day. But it's fantastic. Like, I couldn't speak highly enough about them. I know Naoise was talking there about like the Irish side of it, and you know, picking up the bits and bobs of Irish that you would from it. Like, it's positive on every front. Like, and it's so obvious how much they care about it. They're very clued into what supporters want as well.
Yeah,
maybe you can't say for every broadcaster. And they're open to new ideas as well, which is crucial. So look, you couldn't speak high enough about them, and to put on what they did the last day for supporters, it was unbelievable. And I think the commenter was right. Like, it'd be like they really deserve more. Like, you know, they would love to see them get a championship game and you know, throw their hand at that, because I'm sure they'd be brilliant at it.
What I really love is that they never stand still. They have a brilliant product, an outstanding product already, but they're always looking for ways to add things on, find little things. And they're obviously, as Naoise was saying there, they're obviously fairly clued into other sports and little things that are going on there, and little innovations and ways of, I just think they get a hell of a lot out of the show. There's a lot of different aspects to it. It's very, very positive. Something that's not particularly positive, Adam, is Carlo on the hunt for a manager. Wait, what are we looking at? About 10 days to championship. We don't exactly know the scenario around Shane Curran's departure. Seems to be that some players didn't travel back on the team bus after one of the most recent games. I had heard that it wasn't all happy in the camp maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, but then that had kind of gone away, and they obviously resurfaced again. And now they're without a manager 10 days before championship. Like, it's yeah, to say it's not ideal would be a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, it's really strange in one sense, because if you look at the league table, I mean, they got 7 points. They won 3 games and drew a game. Like, normally you'd be thinking, geez, if there's that many problems within the camp, if the team's really struggling. Now, I know they started poorly. Like, I think that's when the rumours started coming out about a few players left the panel. I think, well, they weren't rumours. I think it was true. They left the panel. One of their coaches also left the camp, I think, kind of halfway through the league. So that's obviously a bad sign. At the time, I read comments, I think it was in the Carlo Nationalist, that Shane was saying that you know, he questioned some fellas' commitment to it, they're kind of there for the wrong reasons. They're not there for the county. They're kind of there for themselves. And if the manager is saying that publicly, then I think it's pretty obvious that there's problems there. I think as well, in the same interview, he defended his training sessions. So obviously the question was put to him. And he defended his training sessions, saying that they're kind of, you know, he invited a journalist down to take a look at the sessions, like, and said, look, they're good sessions, that kind of thing. So obviously this kind of noise coming out of there wasn't positive, but like, you wouldn't think that, like you said, 10, 11 days out from championship, that the manager would step away. And it's sad, really. Like, I mean, like I said, if they were bottom of the table on 0 points, you'd say, oh, look, fellas are throwing the towel and they want to get out of there or whatever. But to be like, I mean, what, like, mid-table, like, I don't think they were really expected to be promotion contenders as such in Division 4, like, were they? So like, things turned out not too bad for them in the end. But yeah, look, I think you mentioned as well there the players not coming back. I heard that was the London game, that fellas actually stayed over in London after that fixture and didn't get the flight back with the team. So obviously that's not great. But yeah, look, it's just a sad situation. You feel for the fellas who are left on the panel, and they're going like, geez, we've championship in 10 days time and we've no manager and 5 of our players are gone, that kind of way. Yeah. So it's very uncertain. And I think they're out against Meath. Like, that's a tough fixture for them. They're away as well, I think. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess, and you feel bad for the fellas who are still involved.
There was an interview with Shane Curran's predecessor, Niall Carew, brilliant interview with Brendan Crossan did a couple of weeks ago, and he was just talking about, he's had a fairly like a roller coaster ride through inter-county management, and a selector Rick Geezer back in the day, and he managed Sligo, Waterford and Carlo, and he just said that he'd be in the car on the way to training with Eamon Callaghan, and he just said Leopard, he's called. He just said Leopard, kind of joke and say to him, "Well, what's the drama going to be tonight?" So like, it's obviously a common enough team, maybe down through the years, and Niall got a lot out of the group and had a pretty successful reign. So if he's saying that, then it's obviously not hectic. Do you know what I mean? And so he might, Shane Curran might have been inheriting a difficult scenario, shall we say, as well. Just in Division 3 then, lots of to and fro, but it ended up with Offaly and Kildare going through to the final on Sunday. Clare will feel aggrieved having beaten the two top teams and not qualified for the final, but they lost points up against Antrim, and that probably come back to bite them. And we've talked about them briefly on the show, but Wexford went 7 from 7 in Division 4, and I think that hasn't been done since Derry did it in, I'm going to say, 2019 in Division 4. And as somebody commented, look where they ended up. They ended up as Division 1 champions 3 or 4 years later. That may not happen, and is unlikely to happen in Wexford's case, but it's been a very impressive campaign so far. And a word for James Naughton, 4-12 for Limerick. Like, what a score. I don't recall. Like, I remember, was it Matty Ford? Was it 4-5? I think he got against Galway in Tuam in a league game years ago. But 4-12 is some going.
That's outrageous. Like, I don't know. I can't remember seeing anything like that at any level, like club level or anything like that. Like you'd be saying, if a fellow was getting 4-12 at an underage game, you'd be taking him off. Like, you'd be saying, like, you're after you get to 4-5 or 4-6, you'd be saying, look, okay, that's enough. Like it's like what's that line in The Simpsons? Like, he's already dead. Stop it. Like, he's already dead. Yeah, like, no, like that's phenomenal. I think he got Player of the Week as well, which is probably fair enough. You couldn't really argue with that.
Yeah, that's obviously it's Wexford and Limerick in Division 4, Offaly Kildare in Division 3, Roscommon and Monaghan in Division 2, and Kerry and Mayo in Division 1. Adam, quick predictions: 1, 2, 3, and 4. You tell me 1, and I'll give you my prediction then, and we fly through the 4 divisions.
Okay, I suppose for 4, Wexford going 7 from 7, like, it'd be that, like, I wouldn't say disaster. They're getting promoted, but they'd be saying to themselves, lads, look, just finish this out now. Like, we're here, like, we're the top seed. We've won all our games. Like, let's see this out. And like, it's hard to look past them, I would say, in 4. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd be going with Wexford as well. Even last year, like, I remember going through their stats last year. Like, they've been quite impressive even, and they've been putting up good scores last year, and they were very competitive against Louth in the Leinster Championship. Yeah, I'd be very, very surprised if it wasn't Wexford who walked away in Division 4. Division 3, I obviously want Offaly to win. I just reckon there's going to surely be a bit of a kick in Kildare, having arrived to O'Connor Park and kind of left with their tails between their legs. I'd expect a kick from them, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't trust them enough that there's going to be a kick in the meter. So I'm going to go for Offaly, and the wide open space to Croke Park will definitely suit Offaly. That's not to say it won't suit Kildare, but Offaly are young, mobile, fast, and athletic, and I definitely think it will suit them. But I wouldn't be. There should be a kick in Kildare, but I'm a doubting Thomas with them until I see it. I won't believe it. So I think Offaly might just scrape that one.
Yeah, it's funny how momentum works in the league. Like, a team could finish very high up, and you're saying, like, well, they weren't great in a couple of games there towards the end, maybe sometimes, and you're kind of doubting them. I don't know. Look, you know better about Offaly than I would, but I'd say maybe Kildare in a close one.
Would you put your money on it though?
I absolutely wouldn't know.
Certain teams in sport, Galway in either code, I find them very ropey. Spurs in football, Arsenal as well in football. There's just certain teams.
Cork footballers.
It's just not sure what you're going to get on a given day. So anybody that's watching, leave those teams out of your multiples where at all possible. Division 2, like you're talking about, like Roscommon I was bigging them up to the last earlier on the year, and their campaign fairly petered out now. They were brilliant for the first 40-45 minutes against Westmeath. They left a bag full of scores behind and could have ended up in, like, Davy Burke left the pitch in Mullingar, and he was he was bulling. Now, he reappeared 10 minutes later and he had calmed down, but like, imagine they hadn't got promoted It would have been an absolute disaster. And I know they're going to play London or whatever the week after, and I'm sure that they're going to win that. But it would have been a disastrous scenario. I'd have to go with Monaghan in 2, to be honest with you, because they've been the more consistent team over the course of the 7 games. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's funny with Roscommon, like we spoke about Davy Burke's comments last week and about saying that we might as well not bother turning up kind of thing. Like, I wonder he's going to say the same thing going to the final. But no, like I think Monaghan's their points total 193 points. Like I just think they've been shooting the lights out, and again they have the forwards there in Croke Park. I know Roscommon do as well on the flip side. But yeah, I think Roscommon overall, the course of the league, they were more consistent. Monaghan were more consistent. Roscommon kind of petering off a bit, and like I said, it's funny how teams can end up on a good points total, but if you kind of struggle towards the end of the league, it's kind of a real downer. So look, they have a chance to, if they win Sunday or on Saturday, it's a good it's probably a good league for them. But I would be kind of favouring Monaghan in that one as well.
Yeah, they're missing Brian Stack, Roscommon, and who I think is one of the best defenders in the country. And he picked up a knock. I think it was against Monaghan. Hasn't featured since, and I don't expect him to feature this weekend. John McManus, who plays in around the full back line, will be back in the mix maybe this weekend, but probably more likely the London game. I don't think it's a coincidence that with the two of those out, particularly Stack, that their form is tapered off a small bit, and they're conceding probably big scores as well. The Division 1 final, need I ask, who do you think is going to win?
Kerry maybe. No, I do. To be fair, look, I think the way Kerry are going, I feel confident about them. The last 2 games, look, to beat Armagh by 10 and Galway by 8. I feel like that they're kind of clicking a little bit. Going up to Croke Park, I think they should be full of confidence. No injuries wise, like they're without Dermot O'Connor. Sean O'Shea is not going to be back. Tom Sullivan's not maybe going to be in the squad or something like that, but I don't think he'll play. Sean O'Brien got injured the last day against Galway, another midfielder who's going quite well. So I don't think he's going to be playing either. So around midfield, maybe you would have question marks because they're going to have to bring in maybe Barry Dan O'Sullivan, put Joe O'Connor back to midfield when he's been kind of operating a wing forward. So I don't think it's definitely not a straightforward task for Kerry by any stretch of the imagination. I think Mayo were a team who really, I saw them early in the league and I thought they were really bad in a couple of games. Yeah. I saw them, but they've really kind of, I suppose, got that bit of momentum. They're kicking the ball. They're kind of playing with more energy rather than kind of slow. Maybe the hard ground is suiting them as well a little bit more. But look, Mayo beat Kerry as recently as the 1st of March. Like that's not that long ago, and they beat them quite well that day, even though it was just a 2-point game in the end. So I'd be expecting a very like closely contested game. If Kerry can hold their own around midfield, I think they should have enough firepower to win it.
I do think that those personnel that you discussed there and that you mentioned there, that could tell, particularly in around the middle of the park, like Mayor. Sure, Matt Uran is in the form of his career, realistically. He's flying it. And obviously O'Shea is going to be a massive handful in around there as well. I think Mayo might just edge it, and it's gas. Like, yeah, we were probably very doom and gloom after a couple of rounds. It just shows that you can't take too much into the early stages of the league in particular. But I think Mayo might just shade it. Like, it'd be a big task for Kerry to win a big game in Croke Park without Sean O'Shea, without Dermot O'Connor, potentially without Tom Sullivan. It's like they're three of their top 6 or 7 players, you'd probably say. So I'd say the balance is probably tipped in Mayo's favour. But sure, we'll be back again next Thursday to review it all. And madly enough, like, the championship is literally right around the corner. It feels unnaturally close now at this stage, doesn't it? Some of it, like Leinster's kicking off the first weekend in April. That's literally on the horizon. That's why Carlo losing their manager, like, they don't exactly have 4 or 5 weeks to get sorted. They need to get sorted in the next couple of days. So there might be certain lads having their phones turned off. We'd say maybe avoiding phone calls, or maybe lads who are just waiting for the phone to ring. But Adam, great stuff. Another great show. Once again brought to you by Lottoland. You can get all the latest GA odds on lottoland.com/sportsbook. And we'll be back again next Thursday at 4 o'clock, and we'll talk to you then again. Thanks a million for tuning in, folks.